Good morning. I hereby call to order this 10th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2019 and ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As always, we want to make sure that your safety is first and foremost in our minds. So we ask that you take note of the safety information on the inside of the cover of the agenda. And as always, we like to make sure that you know that the Commission will act on various matters at today's meeting, which is open to the public. However, adequate forums have been made available for public participation in cases before the Commission. So there is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The first matter on the meeting's agenda is the approval of the minutes for May 9, 2019, and I call upon Commissioner Place, who is the editor.
Thank you. I've reviewed the minutes of the May 9, 2019 public meeting and move that they be approved as submitted.
You have heard the motion of Commissioner Place to approve the May 9th minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kennard. Any discussion, further edits? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0. And at this time, we will then call upon our Secretary, Rosemary Chiavetta, to lead us through this morning's agenda.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Your various bureaus and offices have prepared the following agenda for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin with page 1, with matters presented by Director Sophie and the Office of Special Assistance. It is recommended in an omnibus motion that the Commission adopt both items on page 1, beginning with the joint petition of the People's Natural Gas Company and continuing to include both items on page 2, ending with the complaint of Respond Power.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Place, second by Vice Chairman Sweet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They don't like my new name either, right? No. Just kidding. Just kidding.
More work for the general counsel.
There you go. It's too long.
If that's an omen or what? Okay.
I do like my new name for the record. All righty, I'll turn it back to you.
Turning to page 3, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the matter of the Pennsylvania PUC et al. Versus the Philadelphia Gas Works.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Vice Chairman Sweet. Any discussion?
I have a motion.
Vice Chairman Sweet.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd ask that the motion be entered into the record as though I'd read it in its entirety. Before us today for consideration and disposition is a joint petition for settlement by Philadelphia Gas Works, PGW, and the Office of Consumer Advocate, OCA, to resolve the remaining litigated issues in PGW's base rate proceeding. My motion the Commission granted PGW's petition for reconsideration pending review of and consideration of the merits of the petition by opinion and order entered June 14th, 2018. No further action was taken by the Commission, and on April 17th, 2019, PGW and OCA filed their joint settlement. My motion is to approve the joint settlement, eliminating the need to address the petition for reconsideration. The terms of the joint petition for settlement are simple. 1, PGW commits to making the modifications directed by this Commission in our May 18th, 2018 order, no later than July 2nd of 2019. Secondly, PGW does not admit that its current partial payment allocation practices violate Commission regulations or provisions of the Public Utility Code. And thirdly, upon approval of the settlement, PGW's pending petition for reconsideration shall be deemed to be withdrawn, and PGW agrees to forego any appellate remedies in connection with the May 18, 2018 order. The outstanding issue is PGW's revamping of its billing system consistent with our direction to amend its partial payment allocation practices. The joint petition for settlement accomplishes this end. Whether PGW admits that its current practices violate Commission regulations or provisions of the code is really of no moment, as we have already determined that they do and need to be changed, and PGW has agreed to make the changes. Accordingly, this term of the settlement agreement is acceptable. The third term of the settlement withdraws the petition for reconsideration, which is acceptable as well. Therefore, I move that first, the joint petition for settlement filed by PGW and the OCA be adopted, and secondly, that the Office of Special Assistance prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
You have heard the motion of Vice Chairman Sweet. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Place. Any discussion on the motion?
Before we vote, Madam Chairman, I should state that my member of my staff, Rachel Maurer, worked for the Office of Trial Staff and was consulted on this issue, and she has not worked with me or consulted with me in this matter.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0. On the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Seeing none, the matter as amended passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the application of Scooter Dudes, LLC.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Place. Any discussion?
I have a statement on the matter.
Commissioner Place.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, I ask that my statement be entered into the record as if I had read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration is the exceptions of Scooter Dudes LLC regarding the application filed on August 31, 2017 to transport as a common carrier in experimental service persons upon call and demand for tours and private functions utilizing e-took limos between points in the borough of State College, Center County. This service is proposed to be limited to roads with speed limits not exceeding 25 miles per hour. A hearing was held on March 13, 2018, and the applicant presented testimony and 7 exhibits were admitted into the record. On October 19, 2018, Administrative Law Judge Martagoul denied the application on the basis that the applicant failed to satisfy its burden of proof. Exceptions were filed by Scooter Dudes on November 8, 2018. The vehicle proposed to be provide the experimental service, known as an e-took limo, seats 6 persons and a driver, is 3-wheeled, battery-operated, and capable of reaching speeds of 25 miles per hour. Scooter Dudes also proposed to operate in a loop of the downtown State College area within a radius of approximately 1 mile, including providing tours of the campus and servicing hotels in the area. Upon review of the application and record evidence, including the safety record of the applicant in New Jersey operations, I continue to have concerns regarding the safety of the vehicle being used to transport persons on public roads in the borough of State College. Although this type of vehicle is considered a motor vehicle by both the U.S. Department of Transportation and licensed by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation as a motorcycle, the e-took limo is not an enclosed vehicle and provides little protection to its passengers in the event of a collision. Also, the vehicle having only 3 wheels lacks the inherent stability of a 4-wheeled vehicle, and in carrying up to 6 passengers would be more susceptible to rolling over than conventional vehicles. While I agree that all forms of transportation have some element of risk, the Commission is responsible for ensuring prudency in any transportation offered to the public by minimizing risks to the extent possible. At this time, particularly given the lack of safety testing and limitations for passenger protection, permitting common carrier service by an e-took limo operating in city streets with 6 passengers aboard would be imprudent. I believe that applicants for experimental service have a regulatory purpose in encouraging competition and in evaluating new business models in the transportation industry. However, the application before us is only innovative in the type of vehicle being used, as there are many other similar services throughout the Commonwealth. During the evaluation of this application and the changes in the transportation industry, the Commission's obligation remains constant in that we are required to comprehensively gather and fully evaluate information to determine whether an e-took limo operating on city streets with 6 passengers aboard is able to safely provide the proposed transportation services in Pennsylvania. By denying this application for operating authority based on the determination of whether the e-took limo can safely provide the proposed service, I believe the Commission has fully fulfilled its statutory obligations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Place. I also have comments that I would like to be placed on the record in their entirety. And just let me state that I do concur with the statement of Vice Chairman by Commissioner Place, but also wanted to note something in addition to on this case, because we have had a matter before us in Lancaster, and that was dealing with Wenger Works Tuk-Tuk. My statement, if I can summarize it, just clearly states that this service differs from the proposed service that was in the Wenger Works Tuk-Tuk case in Lancaster, which their primary purpose was with tourism, which we ultimately ruled that was outside of the Commission's jurisdiction. Here, the primary purpose of the proposed business is to provide transportation, which falls under our jurisdiction pursuant to Section 102 of the Public Utility Code. And with that, I believe that scooter dudes, even though they meet the financial fitness standard for being granted a certificate of public convenience, I do have concerns as well regarding the safety of these three-wheeled lightweight vehicles, which is the reason why I will support the staff recommendation to deny the application. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the complaint of Fight and Mendoza versus the Duquesne Light Company.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
And turning to page 4, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the complaint of Randy Stewart versus UGI Utilities.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Place, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 5, in matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services. In an omnibus motion, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the first 2 items on page 5 regarding petitions filed by PPL Electric Utilities.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Place, second by Vice Chairman Sweet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt both proposed orders in the joint applications of Community Utilities of Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania Utility Company for both the water and wastewater divisions.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Sweet, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chairman, you and I have a joint motion in this matter.
Commissioner Kennard.
Thank you. And I asked that our joint motion be entered into the record as if I had read it in its entirety. Without getting into the nuances too deeply of this case, because there are some complications, this is really a question of purchase price. And it's not a traditional dollar sign numbers. It is a dollar sign numbers, $3.1 million, then adjusted and brought forward at the time of closing to reflect changes, additions, and subtractions from the asset value, original cost asset value of the company. We do have a purchase price sufficient to move forward with the transaction. We also have a resolution at the end of a rate case yet to be filed, where the seller and the buyer have established a collar around which they will attempt to equate the purchase price exactly with the rate-based value. While this is somewhat unusual, we don't find that it is in any jeopardy of the public interest. In fact, there will be no closing costs. There will be no acquisition premium associated with this. The parties simply try to ensure that the purchase price exactly and precisely mirrors the rate base as we will find it in the next rate case. So therefore, we move that the applications of Community Utilities of Pennsylvania wastewater and water as amended be approved.
You have heard the joint motion of Commissioner Kennard and myself. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Sweet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Hearing none, the matter as amended passes 5-0.
Turning to page 6, it is recommended that the commission adopt in an omnibus motion all of the items on page 6, beginning with the petition of Mercuria Energy, all and continuing to include all of the items on page 7, and all of the items on page 8, and all of the items on page 9, and all of the items on page 10, ending with the tariff supplement of the UGI Electric Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Vice Chairman Sweet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 11, and matters presented by Chief Counsel Panque for the last time, and the Law Bureau. It is recommended in an omnibus motion that the commission adopt all 3 items on page 11, beginning with the cancellation of certificates for certain motor carriers and ending with the rulemaking regarding Chapter 73.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Place. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 12, in matters presented by Chief ALJ Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge, it is recommended in an omnibus motion that the commission adopt the first 2 decisions on page 12.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Sweet, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the commission adopt Special Agent Kyoto's initial decision regarding the complaint of Jane Danjou versus the West Penn Power Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Place, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any discussion?
Chairman, I do have a motion on this matter.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I'd ask that my motion be entered to the record as though I read it in its entirety. Before the commission for consideration is the initial decision which sustains this formal complaint against West Penn Power Company. The complaint alleges that West Penn is threatening to terminate her service and request an affordable payment arrangement. The initial decision finds that in January 2018, the complainant filed for protection under Chapter 13 of the United States Bankruptcy Code. After receiving notice of the bankruptcy filing, West Penn set aside the complainant's existing balance and established a new account in her name. In April 2018, the complainant filed an informal complaint with the Commission's Bureau of Consumer Services seeking a payment arrangement on the balances accrued under her new contract. BCS established a payment arrangement for the complainant. The complainant then filed an instant formal complaint seeking more favorable repayment terms. The initial decision establishes a payment arrangement on the balance accrued by the complainant under her new account. As in every case coming before this forum, the Commission must decide initially whether this has jurisdiction over the parties and the subject matter of this dispute. The Commission must act within and cannot exceed its jurisdiction. Here, the Commission lacks jurisdiction over the subject matter of the complainant. It is well established by the Commission's lacks jurisdiction in order of payment arrangement for the debtor in an active Chapter 13 bankruptcy proceeding, even where the balance is a post-bankruptcy filing arrearage. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy is an ongoing repayment plan in which all of the debtor's assets are included in the estate under the control of a trustee. The bankruptcy court retains jurisdiction over both pre-petition and post-petition income and debts. Therefore, I move that the initial decision above captioned case is reversed, the formal complaint is denied, and the Office of Special Assistance prepare an opinion in order consistent with this motion. Thank you.
You have heard the motion of Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Place. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0. On the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Seeing none, the matter as amended passes 5-0.
Madam Chairman, that concludes the regular agenda. Turning to the carry-in, it is recommended by Executive Director Mendelson that the Commission adopt the prepared order approving the bylaws of the Damage Prevention Committee pursuant to Act 50 of 2017.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Place, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion?
Chairman, I just have a couple of quick verbal remarks on this matter.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. This morning, what we're considering here are the bylaws that have been developed by the Damage Prevention Committee. So I want to first thank our Damage Prevention Committee for their work in coming to a consensus on this matter. The bylaws are essentially establishing the rules of engagement, the rules and procedures, and the duties and powers of our Damage Prevention Committee. Many of these are coming directly from the One Call Act, and they are, some are being supplemented by some of the statutory requirements as well. In the spirit of full transparency, we thought that it was appropriate to put these out for public comment today. And I just, again, want to thank the Damage Prevention Committee for doing a great job in this matter, and we'll look forward to comments on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Coleman. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items to be considered today.
Thank you. Before we close out of our business agenda, I just want to take, or we just want to take a few minutes to highlight a significant milestone here in Pennsylvania in the competitive energy markets. 20 years ago, not today, but on June 22nd, Pennsylvania enacted the Natural Gas Choice and Competition Act, allowing customers to purchase gas from independent suppliers. Just as we have seen on the electric side, activity in the competitive natural gas market has ebbed and flowed over the last 2 decades, both in terms of the number of suppliers and the number of customers served by competitive gas suppliers. And that has prompted the Commission to continually examine the process. One of the key measures implemented by the PUC was the creation of our Office of Competitive Market Oversight, or OCMO, with the representation from several key PUC bureaus. Team OCMO has proven to be extremely effective in promoting the development of competitive markets and facilitating resolution of disputes between the natural gas distribution companies, the suppliers, and customers. It was the investigative legwork by OCMO that helped generate customer protection regulations requiring more informative supplier disclosure statements, as well as more timely information on contract renewal and change in term notices, and proposed technical changes revising how capacity is assigned and addressing related issues, including penalties and imbalanced trading. Another major element of the Commission's work has been educating the consumers and promoting gas competition. Each year, the PUC's consumer outreach team provides utility education and outreach to thousands of our consumers. Additionally, in February of 2016, the Commission launched a new standalone website, the PA Gas Switch, further enhancing the ability of online natural gas shopping for customers. In just 2 short years as a standalone site, PA Gas Switch saw an increase of approximately 150% of both the total and unique visitors, and nearly 350% increase in the website sign-up clicks for shoppers looking to enroll with suppliers. So it's clear that we have come a long way in the last 20 years. More than 3 million Pennsylvanians now receive natural gas service, and more than 435 customers currently get their natural gas supply from a competitive natural gas supplier, accounting for nearly half of Pennsylvania's total load of natural gas usage. As with other major undertakings, it is important to thank all the people who make this process work. And we start with the PUC staff, our consumer advocates, our natural gas distribution companies, the supplier community, and other key stakeholders. Also, on behalf of my fellow commissioners, I wish to particularly thank our Law Bureau, the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, the Bureau of Consumer Services, and the Office of Communications for their efforts to implement this important law. Rest assured, the Commission will continue its work to ensure a fair and robust marketplace for all of our energy customers. Also, before we close out, I do want to turn it over to Commissioner Kennard.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. One of the strengths of this agency is the annual renewal that occurs because of the staggered nature of the 5 terms. It refreshes the organization and provides new blood. It is one of our strengths. As the old guard steps aside, the new guard comes in. This may be my last public meeting. My successor has been named by the governor and sent over to the Senate. So I wanted to say something from the bench and appreciate your indulgence and my colleagues' indulgence as well. There may be more opportunity, but I wanted to mark the time just from my own perspective. I've sat here for 29 public meetings since December of 2017, looking out over this handsome audience. I've contemplated what it means to sit in one of these 5 seats. And given the length of some of the motions, I've had more than ample opportunity to do so. This is a humbling position of public trust. I've never really gotten over the awe of sitting up here and making pronouncement with my colleagues on very important issues that deeply affect the public interest, although many times they're unaware of even what we do. We've all gotten that blank stare when people say, "What do you do?" And we give them the answer, and they're like, "Okay." So it's a humbling position of public trust. I've tried to do, and I hope my legacy in part is try to do right, try to find solutions, be fair, be respectful, and to listen. I also want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, the men and women of this agency that rallied to help the goals established by my office, as well as the goals established by the other offices, as well as doing the day-to-day drudgery of regulation. This whole ecosystem of the staff, of the utilities, of the advocates, of the consumers shows remarkable dedication and creativity in getting it right. An openness, a willingness to solve problems, willing to give things up and make a compromise. In a dysfunctional world, this agency and those that participate before it have an old school sense of getting things done and compromising is not a 4-letter word. So this is a wonderful group of people that deserve more recognition than they get. I want to thank my colleagues for their own stewardship and dedication and for their many indulgences of me during the past 29 public meetings. Most of all, though, I want to thank Tracy Wilk, Crystal Sakavich, and Rachel Maurer for their outstanding dedication and professionalism, and they've made me so proud every day for the way that their insights and the way they conduct themselves and the way they get things done. So thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Kennard. As he has stated, we do each year have the opportunity, or there's always the opportunity or occasion that we may have a new commissioner. Unfortunately, with that, we lose a lot of the institutional knowledge and memory and passion and commitment and dedication that goes from one commissioner that is leaving. And with that, I do want to say to Commissioner Kennard, I thank him for his commitment to this agency. He has had a long history with the PUC, not only in his private work before the PUC, but also as a staff person. And as a commissioner, he has brought that same dedication and commitment and professionalism to his role as a commissioner. And I want to thank him for all the challenges that he has challenged us greatly, and it has made it a better commission. So we're not sure if he's this is his last meeting, but we want to acknowledge that all the hard work that he has done while he has served here as a commissioner. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So with that, we also know that after I gavel out, we do have a couple more additional recognitions in terms of retirements here at the commission. So I ask that you please stay for those acknowledgements. But at this time, with no further business before us, is there any objection to adjourning this meeting? Seeing none, we are adjourned.